Hello learners, welcome back to my channel Commerce Tutorial. So today I'm going to talk about some important one-liners on business finance. And all of you know it's an important unit of your paper 2 commerce. So let's discuss some important one-liner on business finance. The first one, a project whose acceptance does not prevent or require the acceptance of one or more alternative is received to as. दैट मीन्स एक जो प्रोजेक्ट होगा वो दूसरे ऑल्टरनेटिव जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उनको अगर एक्सेप्ट करे तो इसका एक्सेप्टेंस उसको प्रिवेंट नहीं करेगा. सो अ प्रोजेक्ट हुज एक्सेप्टेंस डज नॉट प्रिवेंट और रिक्वायर द एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ वन और मोर ऑल्टरनेटिव इज रिसीव्ड, जो प्रिवेंट भी नहीं करेगा और जिसके लिए दूसरे एक से ज़्यादा प्रोजेक्ट ऑल्टरनेटिव प्रोजेक्ट को एक्सेप्ट करना ज़रूरी नहीं है, तो वो उस प्रोजेक्ट को करते हैं क्या, एन इंडिपेंडेंट प्रोजेक्ट. तो दैट प्रोजेक्ट, अ प्रोजेक्ट whose acceptance does not prevent or require the acceptance of one or more alternative is required to as an independent project. These are my self-made notes. जब मैं नेट के लिए जब मैं प्रिपेयर कर रहा था तब ये मेरे प्रिपेयर किए हुए नोट्स हैं. सो उसी से ही मैं वन लाइनर सिलेक्ट करके आपके लिए लाया हूँ. सो बिकॉज टाइम इज टू शॉर्ट, सो दैट्स वाई. सो लेट्स टॉक. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एन इंडिपेंडेंट प्रोजेक्ट whose acceptance does not prevent or require any other alternative acceptance of one or more alternative project is received to as. Okay. Second question, in case of NOI approach, what is NOI approach? Net operating income approach. Because there are so many approaches that there are regarding capital structure, net income approach, then net operating income approach, traditional approach, Modigliani and Miller approach. So out of these four approach, NOI is an important approach. So read it carefully. ध्यान से इन सब approaches को कर लेना. In case of NOI approach, cost of debt is constant and overall cost of capital is constant. So in case of NOI approach, cost of debt is constant and overall cost of capital is constant. If you increasing your debt in your company, in your financial structure, in your capital structure, so there will be no effect in cost of debt and overall cost of capital. Both will be constant. Okay. The following approach mentions the irrelevance of capital structure in value of the firm. So two approaches are there in which value of the firm remains same irrespective to the capital structure. So that's why these two approaches are called irrelevance of capital structure. Out of four approaches like NI approach, NOI approach, आपका ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच और जो द मॉडिग्लियानी मिलर अप्रोच है, इन चारों में से दो अप्रोच है रिलेवेंस ऑफ कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर, दो है इरेलेवेंस ऑफ कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर. ठीक है. सो आउट ऑफ दोज फोर चैप्टर्स out of those four approaches, two approaches which are called irrelevance of capital structure, NOI approach and MM approach. I have also mentioned over here relevance approach, NI and traditional approach. Relevance and irrelevance में difference क्या है? जो relevance approaches हैं उनमें कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर में के जो कॉम्पोजिशन होंगे उसमें बेस्ड ऑन दैट कॉम्पोजिशन वैल्यू ऑफ द फार्म विल बी वेरीज, कभी बढ़ भी सकता है कभी घट भी सकता है. तो इसीलिए और जो इरेलेवेंस है तो इरेलेवेंस अप्रोचेस में क्या होता है, कैपिटल स्ट्रक्चर के कंपोनेंट्स और उसके अमाउंट जो भी हो वैल्यू ऑफ द फर्म सेम रहेगा जो रहता है एनओआई एंड एमएम अप्रोचेस में. एंड एनआई एंड ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच में क्या होता है, वैल्यू ऑफ द फर्म आइदर इंक्रीज कर सकता है आइदर डिक्रीज कर सकता है. दैट्स वाई दिस टू अप्रोच आर कॉल्ड relevance of capital structure, NI and traditional approach, and NOI and MM approach is called irrelevance of capital structure. Come to the fourth question. The assumption of MM approach of capital structure are. What are the assumptions? So many assumptions are there, but I just mentioned two assumptions over here. You can read it from any good financial management book. So the dividend payout is 100% and there is no transaction cost. These two are very important assumptions, because see, these approaches are based on some assumptions. Okay, so assumptions of approach of capital structure are dividend payout is 100% and there is no transaction cost. One more important thing, two important approaches like NI approach and NOI approach, the question may be asked, who is the propounder of these two approaches? The propounder of NI approach and NOI approach both are same. David Durant. David Durant is the propounder of NI approach and NOI approach, both the approaches. Okay, so remember this. So come to the question. The assumptions of approach of capital structures are dividend payout is 100% and there is no transaction cost. Come to fifth question. Market price per share dash if more debenture is used in NI approach. According to NI approach, all of we are know that most of my learners are know that it's known to them that if debt is increased, then market price share will be also increased. If more debt is used, then market price per share will be increased, and the ultimate outcome, the value of the share with the value of the firm will also increase. Okay, so that's why it is called relevance of capital structure. As I told you before, it is one of the relevance approach of capital structure. Because more you use debt, your market price, your shares market price will increase, and ultimate the value of the firm will increase also. Come to the next question. The traditional capital approach of the capital structure tells cost of equity is dependent on the amount of debt. Of course, the amount of the cost of equity will be dependent on the amount of debt. Okay, so if you use more amount of debt, your cost of equity will be decreases. If you if you use lesser amount of debt, your cost of equity will be increases, vice versa. So that's why in the traditional, और अगर cost of equity ज़्यादा हो जाएगा debt कम यूज़ करने से, तो value of the firm घट जाएगा, और अगर debt ज़्यादा यूज़ करे तो cost of equity will be decreases and value of the firm increases. Okay, so come to this next one. According to the traditional approach, what is the effect of increase in degree of leverage on the valuation of the firm? Increases first and then decrease. Actually, this is a intermediate approach between NI approach and NOI approach. Okay, basically this approach, traditional approach, is known as intermediate between NI approach and NOI approach. That's why. So according to traditional approach, what is the effect of increase in degree of leverage? That means if you are using more amount of debt on the valuation of the firm, it will be increases first, and after that it will be decreases. Come to the next question. Signaling theory is based on the premise of signaling theory is based on the premise of asymmetric information. What is asymmetric information? Asymmetric information is known to the management only, to the internal parties, but unknown to the investors. Okay, that is the signaling theory. What is the signal regarding my financial condition of my concern? So this is called signaling theory. So this signaling theory is based on the premise of asymmetric information. So what is symmetric information? So what is symmetric information? Symmetric information is that information which is known to both management and investors. So that is symmetric information. So signaling theory basically based on the premise of asymmetric information. Come to the next question. According to the signaling theory, debt issues are considered as debt issues. That means whether you are using debt or not, if you are using debt or not, this is a good news. If you are using debt according to signaling theory, it's a good news. As per pecking order theory, the order of raising finance preferred normally by corporate is, as per the pecking order theory, the preferred order of raising funds, of raising some finances normally by corporate is, that means the way to raise finance are retained earnings, that means plowing back of my profit, non-convertible debt, preference share, convertible debt, equity share. So what are the preferred orders of raising funds normally by corporate as per the pecking order theory? Retained earnings, non-convertible debt, preference share, convertible debt, equity share. These are these are very typical questions. This kind of questions may also asked in your NET JRF examination. Because question level will be easy to moderate to high, because last time question level was like that. The suggestion of pecking order theory are, what are the suggestions? In conformity with the pecking order theory and the presence of asymmetric information. So again asymmetric information came into picture. So in conformity with the pecking order theory. So that the inconformity will be there, and the presence of asymmetric information that is known to management but unknown to investors. Come to the next question. There is a deterioration in the management of working capital of XYZ Limited. What does it refer to? It's a case study based question. So there is a deterioration in the management of working capital of XYZ Limited. What does it refer to? That debtors collection period has increased. This kind of conceptual question may asked in your examination, so be careful about that and be ready. So get ready for that. So there is deterioration in the management of working capital of XYZ Limited. What does it refer to? That debtors collection period has increased. That is, the company or the management increases their debtors collection period. That's why there is a deterioration in management of working capital, because the working capital generation will be deteriorated, maybe slowly done. Which of the following does not help to increase current ratio? So I just directly tell you the answer as it is a one-liner. Which of the following does not help to increase current ratio? Avail bank overdraft to buy machine. If you are using bank overdraft to buy machine, it will not increase your current ratio. It will not improve your current ratio. An aggressive policy means that a company. So different kinds of working capital policies are there. So an aggressive policy is one of them. Means that a company has a low level of flexibility. The company's flexibility level is very low. That means a aggressive working capital approach indicates that the flexibility level of a company is very low. Short-term cash flow improvement may not achieve by reducing trade payables. If you are reducing trade payables, you are not in a position to achieve short-term cash flow improvement, because reducing trade payables means you are reducing your liability, you are reducing your opportunity to get money in future from your creditors. Extremely sorry. Short-term cash flow improvement may not achieve by reducing trade payables. Reducing trade payables means you are reducing your liabilities. Okay. So if you are reducing your liability, there will not be any chance to get any money, because this is not relating to receipt of any amount. It is relating to payment. So reducing trade payable will not improve your short-term cash flow, because no cash inflow is there. You are just reducing your cash outflow. Okay. Which of the following, but there is a thing may not achieve by. If there is a chance to pay lower amount of cash in order to generate low amount of cash outflow, but still this will not be a feasible way to improve your short-term cash flow. That's why this could be in that way this question is asked. Which of the following illustrates the use of hedging approach to financing? Hedging approach, that means matching. Permanent working capital financed with long-term liabilities. Because you are using permanent working capital, so it is obvious you have to use your long-term liability. You have to match this permanent working capital with your long-term liabilities, not your short-term liabilities. You are not going to match your long-term liability with your short-term working capital. So it is obvious if you have to match your permanent working capital along with your long-term liabilities. Come to the next one. In deciding the appropriate level of current assets for the firm, the management is confronted with A trade-off between profitability and risk. This profitability and risk is very, very, very important in order to in order to decide the appropriate level of current asset of the firm. So that's why this profitability and risk is very important, and there will be a trade-off between profitability and risk. Come to the next one. Financing a long-term asset with short-term financing would be an example of high risk, high profitability. High risk, high profitability. Why? You are financing a short. You finance a short-term. You are raising funds from short-term sources, and you are financing a long-term asset for that short-term finance. So there is a high risk. High risk of what? Because this is very short-term finance. Maybe there is a risk. You cannot. You may not in a position to repay that thing, but you are using a long-term assets. So how do you arrange your repayment if there is any default from your part? But if you can repay that amount, or if you can or if you are in a position, if you will in the position to repay that short-term finance, so there will be a chance of high profitability. Why? Because you are using a long-term assets. Because apart from your payment, you can enjoying a long-term assets the benefit. That's why. But there may be a risk also. That is an example of high risk and high profitability. Net working capital refers to, as I told you before, current asset minus current liabilities. Very easy. High net working capital implies higher liquidity, lower profitability, and lower risk. Because higher net working capital means current assets is greater than current liability. Current asset is very much more than current liability. That's why there is a lower profitability, lower chances of profitability, and lower risk. But higher liquidity will be higher because you are in a position to generate your to convert your assets into your cash in a very short span of time. According to hedging or matching approach of working capital financing, long-term funds should be used to finance permanent part of current asset. Because this is a long-term finance, then it should be used to finance the permanent part of current asset, not the short part or the short span, smaller part of current asset. NPV method, net present value method, consider time value of money, consider total the benefits arising from a project. These are the mainly benefits or advantages, you can say, of NPV method. What is that? NPV method considers time value of money, consider total benefits arising from a project. Okay. Next one will be a numerical one, short sum. PV of cash. PV means present value of cash flow. PV of future cash flow is 2000 and initial cost is 1100. Then PI means profitability index. You know the formula of profitability index is present value of future cash flow divided by initial cost, denoted by IO. So 2000 divided by 1100 comes 1.82. If it is greater than 1, then it's a good indication, and your NPV is positive, and NPV and that project should be accepted. So the PI, the formula of PI is PV of future cash flow divided by IO. It means initial cost, and here it comes 1.82. Come to the next one. If an uncovered cost at start of recovery year is 300, full cash flow during the recovery year is 650, and prior year to full recovery is 4 years, then payback period would be, it's a short numerical. So in this case you can use this formula. You just take number of year for full recovery plus in numerator you can take initial recovery cost, that is 300, and in denominator you can take full cash flow during recovery year, that is 650, and it's 4 years. So 4 plus 300 by 650, make a solve this, you will get 4.46 years. So here your payback period will be 4.46 years, and all of you know what is payback period. Payback period is that period during that it's a period during which we can we can recover our actual amount of investment not our extra, not our extra amount, that is not our investment plus profit. It's a period through which or during which we can recover our just amount of investment, not any extra profit. That is called payback. The payback period is an important approach, the capital expenditure approach. So if time permits, I will discuss each and every methods of capital expenditure or capital rationing methods. So that's due to short span of time, I just explained these concepts through some one-liners. So this is the formula to calculate payback period method. Long term sums will be there, but that type of questions may not be asked in NEET JRF examination. Which of the following statement is incorrect? So I just directly told you the incorrect statement. If PI of a project equals 0, then the project's initial cost outflow equal cash inflow. Never. If a PI of a project equals 0, then the project's initial cost and initial cost, that is outflow, equal cash inflow. Never. Okay. If NPV is 0, then project's initial cost and cash inflow, that means cash outflow and cash inflow, becomes equal. But not in case of, but not if PI is 0, it will be equal. If NPV is 0, then it will be equal. Because we know the formula of NPV, present value of cash inflow minus initial cost or cash outflow. So if NPV will be 0, and if NPV comes 0, then it will be equal. If NPV is positive, then PI will be greater than 1. Of course, if NPV is negative, it will be less than 1. If NPV is 0, it is equals to, if NPV is 0, it will be equals to 1. So if NPV greater than 0 or positive, PI greater than 1. NPV equals to 0, PI equals to 1. NPV less than 0, PY less than 1. In that case, accepted, rejected, it's indifference is rejected. Okay, come to the next one. Which of the technique of capital budgeting is known as benefit cost ratio or present value index? Of course, profitability index. Present value index, profitability, because it takes present value of cash inflow in numerator, and in denominator it takes initial cost. That's why it's called profitability index. Come to the next one. Payback method is a quantitative method, because we just calculate the number of years during which we can recover our initial investment or our initial cost. That's why it's a quantitative method. Payback period does not denote profitability from a project. No, it obviously does not denote profitability from a project. It doesn't talk about profitability of a project. It only talks about the number of years during which company can or invest in an investment company or investor can recover its initial amount of investment. The last question of today's session. In mutually exclusive projects which is selected after comparison with other projects must have highest NPV. In mutually exclusive projects, when out of various the projects, if one project is selected after comparison with other projects, must have highest NPV, because his NPV is higher, then the project will be very feasible, very beneficial to the company. So that's why in mutually exclusive projects which selected after comparison with other projects must have highest NPV. This is all for today. If it is helpful, then please subscribe my channel, like the video, share with your friends, and press the bell icon to get notification of my upcoming videos. As I told you before, I have already started a crash course for NEET JRF aspirants. So stay tuned with my channel to get this kind of useful videos. Thank you so much to watch my video till the end. Thank you so much, guys.